Thanks, and a particular welcome to the parents. Thank you for coming. I know it's not easy during the day. Traditionally, I've run this in the evening, and what's normally happened is I've got lots of parents and very few students, and then Year 9 normally runs into some sort of problem somewhere early on in our assessment, because our assessment policies and procedures change a little bit once we get to Year 9. And the reason for the changes are because Year 9, you're really strongly now on the radar of what used to be the Board of Studies, now called the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, NESA. They're looking at you now because you're now working closer and closer towards that achievement that is officially awarded at the end of Year 10. And so there's a lot of rules about what happens, and we've got an interpretation of those rules, and I want to run through that today with you to make sure you are familiar with all those, save you hopefully any grief that may have come up as has happened in previous years, and also provide some information on the changes to the HSC for you in 2020. Okay? A bit scary, 2020. So you should be familiar with this. This is your pattern of study in what we call Stage 5, which is Year 9 and 10. And so the core courses plus those elective classes that you undertake this year. What I really want to talk about today to start with is this ROSA, the Record of School Achievement, and what's expected of you for that. And what that is, the Record of School Achievement has replaced the old school certificate. And so now, rather than having external exams at the end of Year 10, instead you're graded by us here at school. And it gives you a record at the end of Year 10 or Year 11 of all the courses you've completed. It's made available when you finish full-time schooling. So if you go on to the HSC, you actually you more than likely won't get a ROSA, you'll get a record of achievement, small difference, along with your HSC. But if you leave any time prior to your HSC, you will get this record of school achievement, this ROSA, issued to you. Once you finish Year 10 though, which is our first grading point, you can ask for a transcript of all your grades to that point to be issued to you. There are new literacy and numeracy tests available for you to sit if you wish to. They're not compulsory. They are available if you wish to upon leaving school to give you an extra credential if you wish to leave and take that to your employers, potential employers. So the grades on this record of achievement are done purely within the school. So we do that at the end of Year 10 and also at the end of Year 11. So by the end of Year 11, your ROSA covers the studies up to Year 10 and plus a new set of studies up to Year 11. The way we grade is based on what the Board of Studies provides us in course performance descriptors. And at school we've been using these general course performance descriptors for a long period of time. So an A is a student who has extensive knowledge and understanding of the content, can readily apply this, and particularly in new situations. And then that is then interpreted within the content and descriptors of the specific courses. And as you go through, you can see from extensive to thorough to sound to basic to elementary knowledge. And that's an A to E grading that is applied at the end of Year 10 and Year 11 to your courses. The exception on that grading is mathematics, currently, grades on a basis of A10, A9, B8, B7, all the way down to E2. And that's because Year 10 mathematics is trying to sum up the Year 10 curriculum, which really has 3 sets of outcomes or 3 bus stops that students can get off along the way. They're called 5.1, 5.2 and 5.3, obviously named by a mathematician. Okay. So mathematics, the grades are slightly different to try and compare all students on that continuum from 5.1 outcomes to 5.3 outcomes. So if you're aspiring for the highest grade in mathematics, you have to be talking to your teacher to make sure that you are achieving not just within your class at the top level, but at that top level of the outcomes, the 5.3 outcomes. That's what you should be aspiring for. You have an assessment schedule, and I'll look at that later. I've just shared it with you today. It looks a little bit different to the 7 and 8 assessment schedule. Parents will be made available on Parent Lounge in the next couple of days will just be electronically finalised and then made available to you. And we'll have a look at that towards the end of this presentation, and I'll show you what that's like. I want you to have a really good look at that to see when your assessments are due. Okay, make sure you're aware of them, make sure you know when the busy times are, use it to help you plan and guide what you do this year. That assessment schedule will look very similar to what you get in Year 10, Year 11 and Year 12. So we're trying to prep you for what is yet to come for you. Our assessment procedures, and I think we are scaling back the number of tasks we're required of you. I've left it as 4 to 6, probably more likely 4 these days than 6 tasks. And we're trying to consolidate the number of assessments we do so that you don't have that heavy load of assessments. Year 9 can prove to be a heavy load because in Year 9 you're doing 1 more course, in Year 10 1 more elective course. And so that's 1 more subject worth of assessments, another 4 assessments potentially there. But if you're having trouble with keeping up with that number of assessments, please talk to either your year patron or to myself or any other teacher. But Miss Australia and myself are probably the first great ports of call there if you're having a lot of trouble and stress with assessments. So the assessment schedule will give you the timings of the tasks. We'll give you reasonable notice. We say reasonable notice 2 weeks of the exact nature, exact time of the task. So tell you exactly when it is. We try not to put a large number of assessments together. The problem is that everyone wants to teach you something before they assess you, strangely enough. So there's not too many tasks now. The tasks will come later in the term. They get clumped together. And because they're all assessed at the same time, they want to teach you something again. We do try our best to spread that out. It's a little bit difficult. And again, you can always come and talk to us if there are major problems with that. You should expect your tasks to be handed back within that 2-week, 10-school day period. What's really important in those tasks is the feedback you get on those tasks. Because I would encourage you that right now you do not have to be perfect. You are free to make mistakes, and you are more than free to learn from those mistakes. So what I would encourage you to do is to look at those tasks, to not panic, to not think I have to be perfect, to say, what can I learn from this? Your assessments are an opportunity to learn so that you know what you know and what you don't know, and there should be some feedback on what your next step should be. So you should get that feedback on each task, and parents, that should be made available on Parent Lounge through the reporting process. And what we normally tend to use is a what worked well in this task, www, what the student has done really well in this task, and an even better if, something they can do to improve on that task. And our goal is to give you the opportunity to slowly but surely make improvements in your learning. 9, 10, 11 and 12 are all about learning. And it's a great chance now to look at it and say, how am I learning? Give me evidence that I am learning, give me evidence that I am improving. That's what you should be looking for. If you can see evidence of learning and evidence of improving, you're being successful. Okay? Look at that feedback. That feedback is designed to move you to the next step. It may not take you from a 50 to an 80 in one step, but it may take you from a 50 to a 55. Implement that feedback in your next task. Don't just look at the task, look at the next time around when you have to do a similar task. Okay? Well, feedback you get in one subject for writing would be relevant to other subjects for writing. Take it on board. And obviously, we do get marks. The teacher keeps the marks, and the marks are weighted according to the assessment schedule. Now, some of these procedures I really want to highlight, because this is where students had trouble with before. Okay? Handing your assessment task to your teacher or any other arrangement they made. Never to secondary office, never to front office, never via a friend to the teacher. You personally to the teacher at the assigned time. Now I know, for instance, that the History and Geography department will normally say the assigned time is 8:50 a.m. on the morning of the task being due. They want it there by the start of the day to make sure everyone's handing it at the same time, because some students have history that day, some students don't. So they say, make it 8:50 a.m, bring your diary and get it signed. Evidence I've handed it in, on time, it's in my diary, it's signed, you're covered. Okay? If you're late, we'll talk about what happens later. but make sure you personally hand him to that staff member. If the staff member is not going to be there, then they will make arrangements. It's normally the head of faculty that will be in the assigned spot to pick it up. Okay? If it's a test and a staff member is absent on the day of the test, we may have to postpone the test depending on the nature of that task. It is your responsibility to make sure the work you do is secure and not lost. It's your responsibility to back up your work. Okay, it's not an excuse that you can use and come in and go, I lost my work last night on the computer because it crashed. We expect you to be responsible for that, and there are so many ways these days to back up your work. There's USB, cloud, whatever it is, back it up, put it on external hard drive. If you're bringing it in for a presentation, our internet's fantastic here, but don't rely on it. Have it on another source if you can. Okay? Your responsibility to make sure that you have that stored in at least 2 places. If you are working on it the night before and it all crashes, then you bring in what you'd saved previously. You say, I didn't get it finished because it crashed, but you can see evidence of what I've done up to now. And we go, yep, we can take care of it. So back it up as you're going. Make sure you back it up. Okay? 2 places. Is there a question?
What if you as a substitute teacher and they lose it and you don't have?
Okay, so you've had your diary signed. Okay, hopefully you've backed it up. If they lose it, has this happened to you?
It's happened to my sister.
Ouch. Okay, yeah, then we'll have to, I'll deal with that individually. Yes, hopefully that, yeah. All right, can we edit that, Mr. Lincoln? No, I would deal with that individually with student teaching, see what we could do in that case. It's a special case. It would be incredibly rare, I imagine. So, yeah. Okay, special provisions. Look, special provisions are in place to assist students who need that. And the Board of Studies would say that the special provision, once it's put in place, has levelled the playing field for you. Now, the Board of Studies don't oversee special provisions now until Year 12, because they don't do anything in Year 10 with external testing. But if you're a student who in the past has had some sort of special provision, be it extra time or rest breaks, then we will continue to supply that for you. If you're a student who's new to SCAS or maybe has not considered this but think it would assist your learning, then I'd really encourage you to talk to Mr. Philpott. Mr. Philpott has all the details about this. He's great. He will direct you to what you need. It may need going to an occupational therapist if it's a handwriting issue, or it may need some sort of report. But if there's an issue that impacts on your learning, then we would like to assist you. And the Board of Studies would say, we would like to assist you. We'll provide you with some provision that will level the playing field for you. Okay? Often in exams, we have separate supervision, extra time, etc. Diabetes, you often get rest breaks, drink breaks, snacks allowed in exams. So please see either myself first, protocol, or Mr. Philpott. He's very good with this. Alright, illness and misadventure. So if there are forms for illness and misadventure that you need to complete if something goes wrong. Okay? So if you're sick before the due date of assessment, you've got an assignment, you've got 2 weeks to that assignment, you've come down with some virus that's laid you up for 6 days out of those 14 days, I'd be encouraging you to get an illness form, get your doctor's certificate, bring it in, and ask for an extension on that time if you need it. So sickness that impacts on your performance, please get the illness form. My office, just come to the secondary office, we can get you one. Okay? Same sort of thing, if you're absent on the day, just fill an illness form, bring it via the secondary office. Okay? Parents, we would ask that you sign off on it, that you sign off to say it's genuine, so we'll probably send it home to the student, ask you to sign off that's a genuine illness. Okay? As we take that forward into Year 11 and 12, we'll be saying that illnesses need to be qualified by a doctor's certificate. Not in the 9 and 10 level, but definitely 11 and 12, qualify them with a doctor's certificate. A misadventure, on the way to school, the car broke down, okay, you're now 20 minutes late, you rock up to the history department to hand your assignment in, they take your assignment, they say in your diary, they say it's 20 minutes late, they go see Mr. McManus for a misadventure form. And that's what you need to do. You need to say, well, I was late, not my fault, just bad luck. Come and get the form, fill the form in, get parents to sign it, bring it back to me, we'll take care of it. You're late and you don't have a good excuse for being late because you've been sitting with your mates or whatever. Is it almost midday? No, sorry, just there's people out there queuing. Okay, if you're late, you don't have a good excuse, fill in a misadventure form, then we will see what we can do. But generally, late is 0 marks. Be collected, be considered, but unlike 7 and 8, late is 0 marks. And you will be asked to complete a form for that, and we will inform parents. Malpractice cheating, trying to gain an unfair advantage, becomes quite obvious. If you're having time off to try and complete assignments, your peers generally know about that. They generally let us know, and we will generally follow through on that. And it is considered to be cheating because you're trying to gain an unfair advantage. You're trying to gain extra time on that task that other people don't have. If you're copying someone else's work, non-serious attempts, I'll just jump forward one. Plagiarism. If you're copying someone else's work, it's called plagiarism. If you're plagiarising work, you are stealing someone else's ideas. An academic owns their ideas. If you pick it up from Google and drop it into your assignment and you don't either put it into your own words and you don't source and reference it, you've copied their work, that's plagiarism, that's cheating, that part will get 0 in your assignment. Have a chat to your teachers about how they expect you to reference sources. Make sure you know what is expected there. Non-serious attempts. If you sit in an exam and you scribble all over the back cover and you only answer 5 multiple choice questions and nothing else, it's a non-serious attempt. If you say, I didn't know anything, I couldn't answer anything, my question to you would be, what happened the previous 4 or 5 months in class? What have you done about learning that material? You have a responsibility there to make sure you learn that material. If you're not learning that material, come and talk to us. There's plenty of processes in here to support and help you. So non-serious attempts, 0, probably asked to resit the exam after school or sit the task after school on a Tuesday afternoon. The Board of Studies phrase is sustained effort and diligence. That's what they expect from you from here on in. You sustain your effort in a diligent manner. You make sure you are taking responsibility for your learning. I said don't be perfect yet, you have to learn. Learn and improve, learn and improve. Okay. So those sorts of things can lead to what we call an end determination. An end determination is accompanied and preceded by warning letters. If we have a student who makes a non-serious attempt at an assignment, who is not putting a sustained effort and diligence into their studies, we'll send home an end warning letter. The end warning letter will detail what the problem is, what you need to do to take action to remedy that problem. Once you take action to remedy that problem, the end warning letter is consigned to a file and is of no consequence anymore. If you ignore that letter, then we'll send a second one. And if you ignore it, we'll send a third one. We'll be doing interviews with your parents and we'll be telling you that you are putting that record of school achievement for that subject in jeopardy. And the expectation is from us, from the Board of Studies Standards Authority, that you will actually get there and do that work. And we will put in place whatever we can to help you. If you're having trouble, you need to talk and see your teachers, the heads of faculty, and myself, so we can work out how to support you and how to move you forward in your learning. Stage 5 homework. Okay, it's very rare for a student to suddenly change and in year 11 and 12 suddenly become this perfect machine to do their HSC. It does happen, but it happens slowly normally. It doesn't normally happen quickly. I'd encourage you to look at year 9 and 10 and think, let me get on top of things. Let me get organised. Let me make sure that I do every single homework task. Let me make sure that I read a little bit further ahead. Let me develop some of those skills in how to study, how to summarise, how to take notes. Develop them now, talk to your teachers, talk to your tutors, talk to heads of faculty. How do I do this? And how do I do it? And you don't have to do a lot. It doesn't have to be massive amounts. 10 minutes a night on that, on reading ahead and prepping for the next class, can make a big difference. Studies show that at the end of an exam, at the end of a course, everyone's doing the same thing. They're all cramming, they're all trying to study, they're all trying to improve. The students who outperform their peers are generally the ones who have done something different earlier in the course. So try and develop those habits as much as you can. Any questions about any of those things? the school-based. Alright. So, HSC minimum standards. You may have heard about this, it's in the news, it's a new change, and you're the first year that will go through this new change. It's your HSC 2020. Pretty scary, it's a long time away, so we do have a lot of time to prepare you and make sure that you have achieved this. And what it is the minimum standards apply to 3 areas. The Education Standards Authority have said you need to meet a minimum standard in reading, writing and numeracy to receive the actual HSC credential. So if you don't meet those standards, you get issued with your ROSA. Okay, but to get that HSC credential, reading, writing, numeracy, minimum standards. Now I counted up, I think I count up there's 15 opportunities for you to meet those minimum standards. And so the first one, the very first one, is the Year 9 NAPLAN test this year. How bizarre does that sound? Year 9 this year may actually have an impact on your HSC. And it's like this early accreditation. The Board of Studies has given you an early leavers pass on these standards. Okay, it's like a bonus. If you can achieve a Band 8 in NAPLAN, they've said, okay, that means you're on a learning trajectory, a learning path that's sufficient to say you will meet those standards by Year 12. After that, the Board of Studies is going to make available online testing in Year 10, 11 and 12 twice a year. So if you don't quite get that minimum standard NAPLAN, no problems. There's still Year 10, Year 11, Year 12. After that, if you still haven't met it, that's okay. From the time you start your HSC course, beginning of Year 12, there's 5 years to meet that minimum standard. You can keep coming back and having more and more attempts at those tests. So 15 opportunities to meet it. If everything goes pear-shaped and you don't meet those minimum standards, you get your record of school achievement and you are still eligible for your ATAR. Now, I don't know if you know anything about ATARs, the Australian Tertiary Admissions rank. Okay, it's the rank that universities use to offer you a course. You still are eligible for that even if you haven't got the HSC credential. So I think ATAR is still something you're eligible for. Historically, what we would think is as many as 1/3 of you will achieve Band 8 in NAPLAN this year in those 3 areas, reading, writing, and numeracy. So historically, 1/3, even more actually historically, have achieved that will achieve that early accreditation. And 2/3, in fact I went back and checked last year's, it's actually like 3/4 of last year's would have achieved it in at least one of those areas, if not 2 of those areas. So historically, we're in a good position here at St Columba. There's a great education system that prepares you well for your next steps. NAPLAN is one of those next steps. We have found historically that there's going to be a large portion of you that will get the early accreditation, which is great, which is a bonus. Okay. Obviously, that's not great for everyone. Some of you will leave NAPLAN and still need to meet these minimum standards. And what I'm going to call it NESA, used to be Board of Studies, I'm going to call it NESA, have suggested is that your studies in 9 and 10 should sufficiently equip you to meet those standards by the end of Year 10. So we will monitor your progress and we will look at you and put in place any support we can and need to. We already have a really good functioning support network here at school for literacy and numeracy. It's getting better each year. We will put those in process to help you and support you. We'll monitor it. The Board of Studies will provide advice to us about that. And we'll put those in place to try and get as many of you as possible to that point by the end of Year 10. We'll make those tests available. I imagine we'll make them available both times throughout the year. So the earlier you can do it, the more quicker it's done and that's dealt with. Okay. So I imagine that just about all of you will have met those minimum standards before you commence Year 11. But of course that may not be the case for every single one of you. And so if you start Year 11 without having met these standards, there's no need to panic, there's still plenty of time. The next bit of advice from the Board of Studies, from NESA, is that you will, by studying standard English in Year 11 and 12, that should definitely get you that minimum standard level. So your studies in English will get you there. There's no compulsory requirement to study maths in Year 11 and 12. but they have suggested that the studies of mathematics general in Year 11 should get you there as well. And when we get to Year 11, if we have students in that boat, we will support you. We'll monitor you, we'll look at what we can offer you. And we'll keep a close eye and we'll work with you to get you through that. So our job here at school will be to support you through that process. Your job, as I said, is to take responsibility for your learning. Make sure you're improving. Ask for evidence of your improving. Our job is to support that process, to provide that evidence you're learning, and to look at that evidence and say, how can we do something to support you individually to meet these standards? Now, there's lots of information available on those standards. I'll just duck out here for a minute. It's still borderstudies.nsw, so if you Google border studies and jump into border studies, this will come up. This will be the homepage. So New South Wales Education Standards Authority. If you come down the homepage, you're looking for stronger HSC standards. And that's the link there. And that link will then take you to a wealth of information about the stronger HSC standards. I think there's a video there from the Minister, but there's a whole lot of information in this. This is the advice and principles. I'd have a look at it, because it's kind of like a 4-page document. It's good advice. And it talks about reading, writing, numeracy, the types of things that you would have to do to be able to demonstrate those skills. The multiple opportunities, as I've said, to pass it, that starts in 2018, those online tests. If you meet it in numeracy and reading, then you have to do the online test for writing. If you meet it in one of them, you only have to do the online test for the other two. If you meet it all three, you never do an online test. They talk about how they'll track and schedule. We'll be able to keep track. Okay. They talk about what happens in terms of reporting that. They talk about the exemptions, who's exempt from this because of disability provision. And they talk about the sorts of support that they have in place and will put in place through schools. And a couple of case studies there. So I would strongly encourage, if you're not sure about something, to head to just Google Board of Studies. And that advice is all available there. Are there any questions? Okay, so good luck this year, Year 9. And I guess Mr. Straley, myself, if you're unsure of those big picture things, come and talk to one of us. And if you're unsure of a subject-based thing, just settle Year 9, you'll be out of here. If you're unsure of subject-based, talk to your teacher, head of faculty. Alright, thanks. Year 9, stack your...